Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Adi-lila, chapter 9, text 40. Jagat vapiyam mora have punya kyati, Sukhi ha iya loka mora gahi beka kriti. Jagat vapiyam mora have punya kyati, Sukhi ha iya loka mora gahi beka kirti. Jagat vapiya mora have punya kyati, Sukhi ha iya loka mora gahi beka kirti. Jagat vapiya, spreading all over the world. Mora, my, habe, there will be. Punya, pious. Kyati, reputation. Sukhi, happy. Haya, becoming. Loka, all the people. Mora, my. Gabibeka, glorify. Kirti, reputation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere, and thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure. Please repeat. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere. Thus, all people will glorify my name with great pleasure. Purport. This prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now actually coming to pass. The Krishna consciousness movement is being distributed all over the world through the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And people who were leading confused, chaotic lives are now feeling transcendental happiness. They are finding peace in Sankirtana, and therefore they are acknowledging the supreme benefit of this movement. This is the blessing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His prediction is now actually being fulfilled, and those who are sober and conscientious are appreciating the value of this great movement. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. The verse again. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere, and thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure. Before we speak a few words on this purport, I'll keep reading. It is a very short purport, so after this I continue. I selected one verse from Chaitanya Bhagavatam, chapter 1, text 1. Ajanu lambita bhujao kanakavadato sankirtanika pitaru kamalaya taksho vishvambaro vijavaro yuga dharma palo Vande Jagat Priya Karo Karuna Avatara. Translation. I worship their lordships, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, whose long arms extend down to their knees, whose beautiful complexions are radiant yellow like molten gold, and whose elongated eyes like red lotuses, They are the topmost brahmanas, the guardians of religious principles for this age, the most munificent benefactors of all living entities, the most compassionate incarnations of Godhead. They initiated the congregational chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Of course, we have to acknowledge every time, every breath, the kind mercy and blessings of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Because without his mercy, without the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Panchatattva, we have no chance. By their mercy only. Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we have to be very grateful what we have given. Because what we were given by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we can never repay. And Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, very concisely, that by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, the Sankirtan mission is spreading all over the world. And people become ecstatic, jubilant. They find meaningful life, happiness, sangha, association of like-minded people. This is the desire of Krishna. Krishna is our best friend. He is the most compassionate for our suffering. He cares for us. Therefore, he advances himself time to time. And Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the most sublime, most magnanimous, and most merciful form of Krishna. He really comes here to help us. Therefore, we should take it to the heart and be grateful to the process given by him and Guru and Gauranga. So, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is a very unique form of Krishna, directly himself. He is not an avatar, he is directly himself. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very exalted, transcendental pastimes which the Shastras, especially the commentaries of great acharyas, since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Goswamis, Narottama Das Thakur, we can mention many names, Lochan Das Thakur, great personalities coming down to our recent history. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, and the current Vaishnavas who are keeping this movement alive by their devotion, by their faithfulness and loyalty to Srila Prabhupada. We have very advanced devotees within our movement who purely represent Srila Prabhupada. So we should take shelter of them, take shiksha, diksha, take shelter of them, humbly, submissively. Then real knowledge, the secret, the confidential knowledge will be revealed to us. Then, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, we become ecstatic. Because ecstatic has many meanings in this context, because we become very grateful. Therefore we are ecstatic, we are blissful. Srila Prabhupada gave us so much. We can never repay. So how can you not be in ecstasy? We are ecstatic. Just a kirtan, chanting the holy names, serving the Vaishnavas. This is not a place to be lamenting. It's a place to be ecstatic. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the process of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, compassionately, kindly to our brothers and sisters in the material world who are suffering. Because they don't have this consciousness, they don't have this awareness, this sensitivity. They don't understand the root cause of their suffering, the underlying causes. Therefore, a compassionate devotee devises plans to distribute Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada gave us a framework. He gave us the means to spread Krishna consciousness. We have his books, we have the Sankirtan Yagna, Harinam Sankirtan, So we have to apply, we have to apply ourselves to this process in some form. Whether we are preaching directly or indirectly, we should serve the mission of Mahaprabhu. Then all these symptoms, as Srila Prabhupada explains here, manifesting. You become experiencing transcendental happiness. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, could you get some water for me? Hare Krishna. I'll read the next verse, text 41. Bharata bhumite kaila manusya janma yara janma sartaka karikara para upakara. Translation. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatavash, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressed in this very important verse. Although he was born in Bengal, and the Bengalis therefore have a special duty toward him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing not only Bengalis but all the inhabitants of India. It is in the land of India that actual human civilization can be developed. Human life is especially meant for God realization. As stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Anyone who takes birth in the land of India, Bharatvash, has a special privilege of being able to take advantage of the instruction and guidance of the Vedic civilization. He automatically receives the basic principles of spiritual life. For 99.9% of the Indian people, even simple village farmers and others who are neither educated nor sophisticated, believe in the transmigration of the soul, believe in past and future lives, believe in God, and naturally want to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His representative. These ideas are the natural inheritance of a person born in India. India has many holy places of pilgrimages, such as Gaya, Benares, Mathura, Prayag, Vrindavan, Haridwar, Rameshwaram, and Jagannath Puri. And still people go there by hundreds and thousands, although the present leaders of India are influencing the people not to believe in God, not to believe in a next life, not to believe in distinction between pious and impious lives. They are teaching them how to drink wine, eat meat, and become supposedly civilized. People are nevertheless afraid of the four activities of sinful life, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. Whenever there is a religious festival, they gather together by the thousands. We have actual experience of this. Whenever the Krishna consciousness movement holds a Sankirtan festival in a big city like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, Ahmedabad, and Hyderabad, thousands of people come to hear. Sometimes we speak in English, but even though most people do not understand English, they nevertheless come to hear us. Even when imitation incarnations of Godhead speak, people gather in thousands. For everyone who is born in the land of India has a natural spiritual inclination and is taught the very basic principles of spiritual life. They merely need to be a little more educated in the Vedic principles. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Janma sartaka karikara upakara. I'm sorry. If an Indian is educated in the Vedic principles, he is able to perform the most beneficial welfare activity for the entire world. At present, for want of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, the entire world is in darkness, having been covered by the four principles of sinful life: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. Therefore, there is a need for vigorous propaganda to educate people to refrain from sinful activities. This will bring peace and prosperity. The rogues and thieves, debauchees will naturally decrease in number. And all of human society will become God conscious. The practical effect of our spreading Krishna consciousness movement all over the world is that now the most degraded debauchees are becoming the most elevated saints. This is only one Indian's humble service to the world. If all Indians had taken to this path as advised by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, India would have given a unique gift to the world, and thus India would have been glorified. Now, however, India is known as the poverty-stricken country. Whenever anyone from India or America or another opulent country goes to India, he sees many people lying by the footpaths for whom there are not even provisions for 2 meals a day. There are also institutions collecting money from all parts of the world in the name of welfare activities for poverty-stricken people. But they are spending it for their own sense gratification. Now, on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna consciousness movement has been started, and people are benefiting from this movement. Therefore, it is now the duty of the leading men of India to consider the importance of this movement and train many Indians to go outside of India to preach this cult. People will accept it. There will be cooperation among the Indian people and among other people of the world. And the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be glorified all over the world. And people will naturally be happy, peaceful and prosperous, not only in this life, but also in the next. For as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will very easily get salvation, or freedom from the repetition of birth and death, and go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore requests every Indian to become a preacher of his cult, to save the world from the disastrous confusion. This is not only the duty of Indians, but the duty of everyone. We are very happy that American and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. One should know definitely that the best welfare activity for all human society is to awaken man's God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this great movement. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 22nd chapter, verse 35, which is the next quoted in Caitanya Caritamrita. This is very beautiful purport, just continuing the other verse. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes and reminding us and highlighting the importance of spreading Krishna consciousness. It's a sense of urgency. It is an emergency. People are suffering, we can see. We had suffered before we joined because we weren't conscious of Krishna. We acted in sinful activities, and the consequences were very painful. So suffering is very much present in our human society. People trying to find solutions, but they don't have a lasting or permanent solution. Therefore, a compassionate-hearted devotee wants to spread Krishna consciousness on the behalf of Guru and Gauranga. So it is the duty of everyone, especially people who took birth in Bharatvash, in the land of India. They had such a great privilege to learn about Krishna from childhood, learn the pastimes of Ramayana, Mahabharata. I remember when I was in Mayapur and we used to go village to village along the Ganges. We did a bit of Namhatta program. And it was just part of their life, very early age, that they were reading about Lord Ramachandra, Mahabharata, not to speak of Krishna. So it was part of their daily life. They always had the Ramayana, not to speak of glorifying Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit's pastimes. So you can see that it's part of their psychic to glorify Krishna right from the early age. So it is, Srila Prabhupada says, they had such a great privilege and advantage. So they should come forward and spread Krishna consciousness, just like Srila Prabhupada himself did. Came and helping the world, enlightening the world. Not only that, Srila Prabhupada advises that everyone who has a sense of Krishna consciousness should take up the responsibility to distribute Krishna consciousness. And of course, there's a very, very powerful instructions here. And as devotees, as sincere sadhakas who are trying to become a humble servant of our spiritual masters, we should understand the mood of our Guru, the mood of our grandfather spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. His mission, his compassion, trying to spread Krishna consciousness. As Srila Prabhupada often recalled Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami, preaching is the essence, purity is the force, utility is the principle, and books are the basis. So it explains, preaching is the essence. The devotee wants to share. You see great Mahabhagavatas, including great teachers, messiahs like Jesus Christ, Buddha Dev, great personalities, not to speak of Puranic personalities, great avatars, great rishis. They became very famous because they were propagating the message of Godhead, transcendental knowledge, Divya Jnana. They weren't just live a very reclusive life. They wanted to give the love and the mercy. They weren't just keeping it to themselves. And we can see, unfortunately, the ill effect of Kali Yuga is influencing even the land of Bharatvash. The current governments, they encouraging the Western way of living based on gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, meat eating. Unfortunately, you can see the whole world is gliding down towards hellish existence. Therefore, enlightened persons are encouraged to spread Krishna consciousness. And one of the most effective way to preach Krishna consciousness is to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. Books are the basis. So all our knowledge, all our realizations, and enthusiasm, inspiration comes from distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. So we should take it sincerely, regardless of our services, regardless of our status, wherever we are, whatever is our adhikari, we should somehow or other distribute these books. With conviction, these books are powerful, potent. Srila Prabhupada suffered for us. He translated all these books. And we somehow or other distribute these books. It's not easy because we face challenges, especially now. We can see that the world is changing around us and becomes more and more difficult to even just to exist, not to speak of preaching Krishna consciousness. So, but nevertheless, there are good examples in the past that devotees, regardless and in spite of all challenges, political unrest or social unrest or secular societies like Islamic, for example, or communist or whatever challenges they had to face, somehow or other, movement of Mahaprabhu, the preaching mission of Mahaprabhu was carried on with great determination and sincerity. The devotees had to tolerate. There was some sacrifices. The devotees suffered so much for this. Even just what we have now here, this beautiful farm here, the devotees had to work very, very hard in the 70s, 80s, just to have this facility we have now. So we should be grateful, we should be thankful to those devotees who established these beautiful temples. So we should not take it for granted. This is, Krishna is very kind to us, He's giving us nice facility and nice association, so we can just take advantage of it and progress in Krishna consciousness. This is not for easy living, this is actually for sincere service. This farm, we should be all aware, is this farm, and not to speak of all the temples, is for spiritual advancement. It's not for lazy men. It's for sincere devotees who want to serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada and help humanity, help to ease the suffering of humanity. Let's work together. So Srila Prabhupada encouraging us and encouraging all intelligent men to take up Krishna consciousness and spread it. And one may argue how we can preach Krishna consciousness in a difficult place, like for example in Islamic Muslim countries, very difficult. But there are devotees who are actually spreading Krishna consciousness. Incredible. I even knew people. Sometimes in Vrindavan I used to meet some of these devotees. They're coming from Iran, some of these difficult places, and they were distributing books in Arabic language. When Srila Prabhupada heard this, that some devotees actually keen to preach Krishna consciousness in Arabic countries or Muslim countries where preaching is very confrontational, because you can sacrifice your life, you can get imprisoned or killed, or very difficult places, very radical. So they don't see the pure message of Mahaprabhu. They have very secular, very sectarian way of saying things. So devotees have to tolerate, but somehow or other they preaching Krishna consciousness, spread it, and they have devotees attracting, amazing. And Srila Prabhupada said, I heard this from Vijay Prabhu and Vaisheshekha Prabhu also, and I think it's written down also. Srila Prabhupada said, anyone who distributes my books in Arabic countries, in Arabic language, I'll take the dust from their lotus feet and touch it to my head. Prabhupada knew the danger, the sacrifice involved. And same in similar instances in former Soviet Union, when devotees had to go through all these difficulties in labor camps, psychiatric hospitals. They suffered so much with Prabhupada. They weren't just enjoying themselves. They were really going for it. They took it seriously, took it to the heart. So Srila Prabhupada, he took the instructions of his Guru Maharaj very sincerely. He came to the West in spite of all personal inconveniences and spreading this, helping us. Of course, as we become advanced in Krishna consciousness, we become more and more grateful to Srila Prabhupada and to the assembly of the Vaishnavas, because we are depending on their kindness, mercy. Our devotional service is depending on the association of devotees. What can we do without devotees? Anyone can answer? Not much we can do. We have no strength. Strength comes together. Let's work together in the mission of Mahaprabhu. Is it? And so Srila Prabhupada was very grateful to his own disciples. He was ready to take the dust from their feet if they distribute books in a difficult land, difficult country. And so we can see now the current situation in this world, that we're moving into very difficult times. Astrologically also doesn't sound good, doesn't look good. They're very difficult times. And we can see a global upheaval, so many different levels. A preacher may interpret it differently. He may say this is the time to preach Krishna consciousness. This is the real time to start preaching. Because difficulty is coming, people start questioning, looking for solutions. Question, why am I suffering? Why this? Because in the beginning they just blame each other, as usual. They blame the politicians, they blame whatever, or some globalists, some corporation, or whatever, you can name it. But eventually they question life. Why we are suffering? This is a sign of intelligence. We're seeking solutions, seeking answers. And this is when Srila Prabhupada's books are there. They're waiting. They're time bombs. The real knowledge is there to give the solution. It's actually, from preaching point of view, this is the time to start preaching. And we may argue, okay, the difficulty is we can't even have harinams and we can't do this. Then we have to be innovative. Nothing should stop the preaching mission of Mahaprabhu. See, like in the communist countries, they couldn't do harinams in those days. They couldn't distribute books on the street. But some or other, Krishna gave them the intelligence. They did home programs, Namhata. They handwriting book, Prabhupada's books, they couldn't even print them. They had to copy them, handwriting. There was so much determination to preach Krishna consciousness. And look what happened in Russia. Tens of thousands of devotees. And even in Hungary, like it's incredible. Even now, I can't actually believe what happened, what a transformation in these countries from preaching point of view. Because when I used to visit my parents, only 1 or 2 devotees in the whole country. And now we have hundreds, if not thousands. Just see, regardless of the difficulties, devotees who were sincere, Krishna helped them, gave them the intelligence, gave them a strategy how to, get around this. Nowadays we have the internet, we have so many means to preach Krishna consciousness. We shouldn't give in and lament. A devotee should not be depressed by difficulties around us. We should just be focused. We should be just pray to Krishna to help us, give us intelligence, how to actually find means to preach Krishna consciousness. It's good for us and good for them, good for everyone. And then miracles can happen. The world can change. Because sometimes we need this kind of difficulties, even for ourselves. Queen Kunti prays for difficulties, so I can remember you, Krishna, sincerely from the heart. Without this sincere feeling, sincere prayer, we cannot really attract Krishna's attention. Krishna is attracted to genuine feelings, sincerity, calling out to Krishna, Krishna, please help us. Please help us to help others. We even have to pray for that. Please help me to preach Krishna consciousness nicely, based on Prabhupada's teachings, without any changes, without any concoction. We just simply repeat the words of our Guru, and with our sincere realizations, and somehow or other touch people's lives. And we can see people come forward. Krishna consciousness is very attractive, but we have to facilitate that. We have to facilitate that, and not to be depressed by the world around us. This is an opportunity to get out there somehow or other, either in the internet or whatever way. Somehow or other find ways to touch people's lives, because they're searching. I know. The books are there, sitting on the shelves. There are millions, if not hundreds of millions of books been distributed since the 60s. They're sitting there, somewhere, And eventually, people still opening this, especially in the time of difficulties. They will open these books, just see. So, Srila Prabhupada's movement is a very noble mission. And sometimes we get setbacks, because it's not easy. We're fighting against Maya, the army of illusions, and very atheistic, godless societies. They're definitely going to step up. If we have some power and strength, then will be difficulties. So the devotees should not back off. We should be fighters for Krishna, just like Arjuna had to be a fighter for Krishna. You cannot, spiritual life is not an easygoing thing. We have to actually be fighters. This is when the real happiness nectar comes. This is when the happiness of Krishna consciousness manifesting. When we step out of our comfort zone and just do it for Krishna, just do it. Don't step back. And then simply by this endeavor and determination, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself will bless us and takes us back to Godhead. So it is possible. It is possible. We have to believe it is possible to become Krishna conscious in one lifetime. We don't have to wait for many, many lifetimes. But we have to go for it. Often recall Jayananda Prabhu, how sincere, how he really went for it. He really, really went for it. He really has so much faith in Srila Prabhupada and worked so hard. He was so ecstatic. He just, I can't even explain this. There's a beautiful biography of Jayananda Prabhu. So let's become like Jayananda Prabhu. At least take inspiration from him. Let's become sincere devotees, cooperating with one another, and work hard for Prabhupada. Not just hang around. We should be conscious of this. And if you have no service to do, then chant, study Prabhupada's books. Don't waste time. Don't waste time in the ashram. Be conscious. Be conscious of Krishna, conscious of your duties, and then Krishna will help us. The taste will come. Then you become an instrument for Prabhupada. So this is an encouragement. This purport is an encouragement for all of us to spread Krishna consciousness, not just for the Indian people, not just for the land of Bharat, but especially for them, because they should take it seriously. And for us too, because now we are aware of the mercy Prabhupada gave us, knowledge. We study his books, we chant the holy names of Krishna, we serve each other. Therefore we should be grateful to him. We should try to repay our debts. Of course we cannot repay Srila Prabhupada, but somehow or other we should endeavor to please him. Srila Prabhupada, you gave us so much. Let me become your sincere grand disciple or disciple. Let me try serve you somehow or other, according to my capacity, according to my knowledge, according to... And it is possible. It is possible. Prabhupada encouraged everyone to preach Krishna consciousness. There was one little girl, she was only 5-6 years old, maybe less. Her name was Saraswati. And she was sitting in the class, Prabhupada was lecturing, and she stood up and went to the devotees, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in front of everyone. And Prabhupada said, just see, this is called preaching. Even she can preach. So when we have that conviction, we can preach Krishna consciousness regardless of our, advancement or whatever. We just simply share the happiness, share the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, encourage people to take these books and encourage them to read the books and come to the Sangha, the association of devotees. Then we set them on the right path. That way we also get the mercy of Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada, because this is their desire. They're anxious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is anxious to help the world. So let's become instruments. Let's advance in spiritual life, not just be content as a neophyte. I'm happy, I'm getting my prasadam every day, and I'm regulated. Kanishta Adhikar is not a very advanced platform, see? Just remain in Kanishta, see? We should actually become serious. And we encourage each other, preach to each other. And that's the meaning of association of devotees. So we help each other, and this is when the happiness of the kirtan will pick up. The happiness of the devotees will be very happy, a vibrant community. This is the way to go forward. There's no go back, go forward. So let's do that. Hare Krishna. Is there any comments or questions? Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Father. When I first started practicing Krishna consciousness, or first came to Krishna consciousness, even before I came into the association with devotees, so to speak, I received a book from a book distributor in Hare Krishna Das. He's been practicing brahmacharya for 20 years, I think. I didn't even remember the exchange until I had joined the devotees in Wellington. Just from that experience, I got that spirit to just preach Krishna consciousness, so to speak. And I was going to book distribution every day in Wellington. And I didn't even know what I was doing. I was hardly even chanting 16 rounds. I mean, I was, just giving up smoking cigarettes. So I had a lot of determination to preach, but continuing on through the year, I went on the Prabhupada Marathon with Srimad Krishna. I went back to Hamilton and was staying with the brahmacharis. And I went on the Prabhupada Marathon, and the whole time I was doing this, it was incredibly difficult, and I just felt like the whole time I was just under pressure to give up. You don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're preaching, you're not pure, you don't have any Adi-lila, blah blah blah, all this kind of pressure and external force. But I knew that I should just keep going, and eventually it will be. But I couldn't keep up the determination to push through and stay on the distribution. So
okay, just keep it short. I understand. And nevertheless, since your intention is sincere, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality also. Even if you just Prabhupada used to say, even just to preach to one person a day, Krishna is pleased. Just somehow tell him about Krishna. And people come here on the farm, you can see, people come, Krishna brings them here. Somehow they're here. So we should somehow or other share what we know. Not in a fanatical way, but in a nice way. See? So even if you just preach to one person a day, that's sufficient. Then as your determination and strength and focus will be there, you can do more. Okay? Hare Krishna. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai.